If the people you love most have always needed saving, and you have always been the one to try, this is not a coincidence, and it is not a character flaw. It is a pattern, and patterns have origins, and origins, once understood, lose most of their power. Today, we talk about why so many of us keep choosing people who need fixing, and what it actually takes to finally stop. In the 1960s, a British psychologist named John Bowlby developed what we now call attachment theory. His research showed that the way we connect with our earliest caregivers, usually a parent, becomes the template for how we connect with everyone who comes after. If that early relationship was secure, predictable, warm, safe, we tend to seek out relationships that feel the same way. If it was unpredictable, emotionally unavailable, or conditional, we learn to chase connection rather than simply receive it. We learn very early that love requires effort, that it has to be earned, that the way to be loved is to be needed. And so, we grow up drawn to people who need us, not because we are weak, but because being needed feels, at the deepest level, like being loved. What does this pattern look like in practice? It looks like always being the strong one, the one who holds everyone together while quietly falling apart yourself. It looks like being more comfortable giving than receiving, more comfortable supporting someone else's dreams than claiming your own. It looks like choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable and then working harder and harder to reach them, telling yourself that if you could just be enough, they would finally show up. It looks like friendships where you are always the one who listens, always the one who shows up, always the one who gives, until you are empty. And underneath all of it is the same quiet belief that your value lies in what you can do for someone else, that love, for you, is something you perform, rather than something you simply deserve. That belief is not the truth, but it has been running your choices for a very long time. Here is what I want you to hear before we talk about change. This pattern was not a mistake you made. It was a response you learned. In an environment where love felt conditional or unpredictable, choosing people who need you was a way of creating a role for yourself, a reason to stay, a way to feel safe. That was intelligent. That was adaptive. That was a child doing the best she could with what she had. The problem is not that you learned it. The problem is that you are still using a strategy that made sense then, in a life that looks very different now. You do not need to earn your place in the lives of the people you love. You never did. But your nervous system has not received that message yet, and that is what this work is about. So what does breaking this pattern actually require? It requires learning to tolerate receiving without immediately giving something back. It requires choosing relationships where you feel safe, not relationships where you feel needed. It requires grieving the version of love you learned, the earned version, the conditional version, and slowly, carefully, making room for something different. And it requires asking yourself one honest question before the next relationship, the next friendship, the next dynamic where you feel the pull to fix someone. Am I drawn to this person because of who they are, or because of who they need me to be? That question, sat with honestly, changes everything. You are allowed to be chosen without having to earn it. You are allowed to be loved without having to perform for it. You are allowed to rest in a relationship instead of working inside it. That is not too much to ask for. That is the baseline. And you deserve it, not because you have finally done enough, but because you always did. I hope that helped. If it did, The Red Flag Reset workbook in the description goes even deeper. It walks you through exactly where these patterns started and how to interrupt them. Link is below. Next week, we talk about what high-functioning anxiety actually looks like and why you have probably been calling it productivity. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you next week.